A company always on the run, a destiny, oh, it's the rising sun. I was born, a shotgun in my hands.
Hey, this is Walt from StogieReview.com here for another weekly video cigar review. And up for review this week is actually a cigar that was a little bit of a surprise to me. Ace from the Stogie Review fan forums was kind enough to send me 9 cigars in all. All of them were the same, different vitolas, and all of them were the Perdomo Patriarch Corojo. And he said he likes them quite a bit, and he wanted to get my opinion of them. So he sent them over, and I had only had one before the cigars arrived in the mail. It was an IPCPR sample, and I smoked it, enjoyed it, and then I get these other 9 in the mail, and I kind of dug into them really fast. And I figured, you know, if I don't do this review really soon, I'm going to end up smoking through them all. He sent me 3 Toro size, 3 Lonsdales and 3 Robustos, and I'm down to 1 Robusto and 2 Lonsdales. So I've been going through them relatively quickly, and I've come to enjoy them quite a bit. It kind of spoils the review for you, but it's just the way it is, I guess. Now, I don't have a ton of information on this cigar, but actually I'll hold off until I'm lighting it. That way I can do 2 things at once and try to save a little bit of time. So just taking a quick look at this, I'm seeing one minor defect. It's a chip in the wrapper. There's a medium-sized vein on the back side, the back being opposite the name on the band. Not that it matters a whole lot, but there's a medium-sized vein on the cigar. Adds a little bit of a rough texture to it, and the color overall looks pretty consistent. It's nice and dark. There's some tooth to it, not a ton of oil. I mean, it's got a mild sheen to it, but nice toothy texture. You know, it's got that sort of sandy feel if you roll it around your fingers. And all of these so far have felt pretty firm. And this one's got a tiny little hollow spot just above the band. But aside from that, it feels uniformly packed, pretty firm overall. So we'll see how the draw goes. These have a really nice aroma to them. They're pretty potent. It's sort of a mixture of like a barnyard aroma and coffee, and that's on both the wrapper and the exposed foot. So with all that said, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the foot band off, clip my cigar, and tell you the very little information I know as I'm toasting it. Pre-light draw is moderate. It's got a little bit of resistance to it, but it shouldn't be much of an issue. I don't think it'll be much of an issue. So, as I said, I don't have a whole lot of information about this cigar. I started poking around on the web on mostly retailer sites, and it seems like all of them have the same information, word for word. And lo and behold, I checked the Perdomo website, and it's sort of the documentation that is presented with the cigar. So it's not surprising that it's used everywhere. Unfortunately, it doesn't give me a whole lot of detail about the cigar. I'll read you that little description word for word, and then I'll let you draw your own conclusions. But I know this is a Maduro wrapper, although I don't know what type. It is a Nicaraguan puro, from what I believe, meaning wrapper, binder, and filler are all Nicaraguan tobacco. The MSRP on these on the Robusto, looks to be about $126 a box, at least from Famous anyhow. And this is a 5x50. Now these are available in six sizes, traditional Cuban sizes. This is how they're described. There's a Corona Extra, Lonsdale, Robusto, Epicure, Churchill, and Torpedo. The Epicure is what I called the Toro earlier. Okay, so word for word, this is direct from Nick Perdomo on the website write-up. It says, Perdomo Patriarch is made in honor of Nicholas Perdomo Sr., my father, mentor, and hero. Traditionally handmade in father's favorite blends, these cigars are comprised of exquisite tobaccos from the fertile Nicaraguan valleys of Stogie, Condega, and Jalapa. More on that later. It goes on to say, Perdomo Patriarch is a smoking experience that yields an impressive, robust taste with rich, complex flavors and a smooth, elegant finish. I am proud to offer these exquisite cigars in traditional Cuban sizes. I hope that you will enjoy them with your family and friends. Sincerely, Nick Perdomo. The reason I said more on that later, on the Esteli, Condega, and Jalapa mention there, the Perdomo Habano also has that mention, those three areas. Actually, all three are mentioned directly on the band, and I believe that particular cigar pulls tobacco from those three regions. I believe Nick Perdomo has tobacco fields there. So I think this may be a similar situation where it has tobacco from all three regions that make up the filler. But it could also mean wrapper, binder, and filler. Well, one's Esteli, one's Condega, one's Jalapa. I really don't know. And essentially, that's all I got for you. I think this is the same makeup as the Corojo with just a Maduro wrapper, but again, I'm not really sure. I'm going to look a little bit more, see if I can find something during the break. But at any rate, my cigar's lit, producing good volume of smoke. It's burning evenly at this point, so sit back, smoke a cigar or something. I'll be back in a second. We'll take a look at the first third of the Perdomo Patriarch Maduro. Alright, well, I'm back. It's been about 30 minutes or so, and it's about time to wrap up the first third of my Perdomo Patriarch Maduro. And as you can see, the burn lane's doing pretty well. I've got a slight wave, but nothing really to complain about. The ash is fairly light in color. It's got a nice compacted shape to it, no flowering or flaking. The strength of the ash is a little lacking. It develops to, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch or so, and even the tiniest little bump seems to knock it right off the end of the cigar. So while that really isn't an issue if there's an ashtray nearby, so far this isn't the type of cigar that I want to light up if I were going on a road trip or something where, you know, my hands moving around on the steering wheel or just kind of sitting by the window with a slight breeze going by. You know, I think that it's, you know, take your mind off the cigar to drive down the road, and you'll end up with ash all over your floor. In terms of flavor, one of the things I like about this cigar the most is that all of the samples that I've smoked so far seem to really pop. They don't take time to quote-unquote warm up. You know, by the time you take that second or third puff, you know, the flavor is just, it's all there. You know, you're not waiting for things to come together for the cigar to sort of come up to speed. You know, the first couple of puffs and you're getting a full flavored cigar. Nicotine levels are really going unnoticed, and ever since that body discussion that we've done on Stogie Review, I've been keeping a close eye on nicotine levels and what I'm noticing, what I'm not noticing. And I'm finding that a lot of these cigars that aren't your typical, you know, full throttle, all ligero all the time cigars really don't have much effect on me in terms of nicotine. It's just those ligero laden cigars that tend to bother me as far as nicotine goes. So what I may not notice may be horrendous to you. You know, may give you a headache, the sweats, make you sick to the stomach and whatnot. So so keeping an eye on the nicotine levels is probably not a great idea unless you've built up the same resistance that I have. and I really couldn't tell you what that resistance is. In terms of flavors, I'm getting a lot of, the primary flavor seems to be this mixture of coffee and cocoa powder. I guess most people would call that mocha, but since I don't drink those fancy lattes and whatnot, I really couldn't accurately describe what a mocha tastes like. So in its place, I'm going to say a combination of coffee and chocolate. And after that begins to subside, you get that traditional Maduro sweetness, and those typical Maduro flavors really shine in this cigar. They come on very heavy, and if you're a lover of just Maduro cigars in general, I really think you're going to like the direction this cigar is going. In terms of body, it started off medium, and it increases ever so slightly throughout the first third. It doesn't extend beyond medium bodied, but you can tell there's a gradual step as you go along. And judging by that gradual step, I would expect this cigar to maybe hit full bodied as it was wrapping up. It seems to be a very, very slow progression, and all the samples I've had pretty much tell me that by the time I'm wrapping it up, it's going to be, you know, maybe low end of full. But at this point, medium bodied, full flavored. Not really noticing any nicotine content. It's burning really well. Flavors are excellent so far. So with all that said, I'm going to take another break. I'll be back in just a second. Take a look at the second third of my Perdomo Patriarch Maduro, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, well, it's been all but an hour now, and it's about time to wrap up the second third of my Perdomo Patriarch Maduro. And as you can see, the burn line is still very good in terms of being thin and relatively even. I mean, there's a slight wave here and there, but really nothing to complain about. The draw's got a little bit of resistance to it, but provides an ample amount of smoke. It's very dense, easy to get through the sinuses, very flavorful. Flavors haven't changed up much. I'm still getting a heavy mixture of coffee and cocoa powder. Again, sort of probably best described as mocha. And some really nice, just typical Maduro sweetness comes in afterwards. I'm getting a little bit of that Nicaraguan zing, or that little bit of an edginess that you get out of Nicaraguan tobacco. And it does a really good job of tying everything together. No one flavor seems overpowering or overbearing over the others. It seems very balanced, very smooth, easy to smoke. Now, excuse me, in terms of finish, it's still a little rough or edgy. I'm getting like an acidic feel across the roof of the mouth and the broad section of the tongue. And what I mean by that acidic feeling is just think orange juice or lemon juice. They have this acidic tingle that goes along with them, and I get the same thing out of different cigars. In this case, that mild tingle gives me the impression that there's a bit of an aggressiveness to the smoke. Now, depending on what I eat, I can throttle that up and down. If I eat something that has sort of a bold flavor, something relatively heavy, I really don't notice that aggressiveness. If I eat something that doesn't have really bold flavor, something light, then I notice that aggressiveness a whole lot more. In this case, I had a fairly light lunch, haven't had dinner yet, so I'm getting hit with waves of this aggressiveness. It's not overpowering, or it doesn't really drag the cigar down. It just makes my palate feel a little tired and worn out. And I guess the best way to look at that is, would I be able to light up another one of these cigars, you know, right after this one? And probably not. I wouldn't want that aggressive quality hitting my palate like that. I think it would wear me down before I got finished the second cigar. Now, if I were to smoke this after dinner, toward, you know, later in the evening, I probably could smoke two of them back to back, and that aggressiveness wouldn't bother me too much. But all in all, you know, it's burning very well. It's performing great as far as burning characteristics go. It seems to be constructed very well. It's drawing good, providing ample smoke. Flavor is great. All in all, I'm enjoying the cigar very much. So, not gonna repeat myself and ramble on and on. So, give me another second. I'll be back. We'll take a look at the final third. I'll wrap up the cigar, let you be on your way, and that'll be the end of it. Alright, well, it's about an hour and a half now, and it's about time to wrap up my Perdomo Patriarch Maduro. And as you can see, burn line is good, nice and thin, relatively even, a little bit of waviness to it. Nice compacted ash. It doesn't get much longer than this before it easily drops. It just takes a gentle tap on the cigar and off it comes. The smoke volume is great. Getting mouthfuls of dense smoke. Doesn't take much pull on the cigar to get that smoke. It's staying relatively cool even as it begins to grow short, and I'm liking that a lot. Now down toward the end it does get kind of stout, and the flavors end up getting really heavy, slightly harsh, but I still smoke them even as they get down this short, just because I like it overall. The flavors haven't changed up much. The primary component is still what I would call coffee and cocoa powder, and follow that up with nice Maduro sweetness, and you've got a good core flavor. And as that begins to subside, the last thing I get is that really nice zingy Nicaraguan tobacco taste, and I think it does a really good job of tying everything together. Makes a very good all-around cigar. Full flavored. Body is probably, it's crept up a little bit. I would say it's probably at the shallow end of full at this point. I just get enough mouthfeel texture to consider it full at this point. Maybe really high end of medium, but medium to full, not something that should scare you away just because the cigar is relatively dark. It's not overbearing, and really it isn't anything to be frightened of, especially if you're a medium-bodied smoker. I don't think this is going to be a progressive step enough for you to not enjoy the cigar, unless of course you don't like the Maduro flavor profile, which is very apparent in this cigar. Burning characteristics are good, flavor's good. I'm still getting a sort of acidic feel across the roof of my mouth. A little edgy, aggressive. And the interesting thing is I get it just where I get immediate smoke contact. Across the roof of the mouth, the broad section of the tongue. When I retrohale the smoke or push it back through the sinuses, it's clean, it's easygoing. I don't get the watery eyes or that heavy spice hit. It's easy to smoke in that sense. The flavor is pretty straightforward. So you really, overall, I think this is a pretty easy cigar to smoke. It's got a lot of richness and complexity to it, and that has really held my attention. Even though the flavors are good, the richness and complexity of the final third is what holds my attention later on in the cigar. I guess you could say it's sort of one-dimensional, since there isn't a whole lot of change in core flavors. It's not hopping from one flavor to the next. There's not a whole lot of flavor additions as you go, but I don't know, it holds my attention with its richness and complexity. Overall, I really enjoyed this cigar. I would definitely recommend it to anyone that enjoys Maduro cigars. The price point is a bit high. As I mentioned, it's about $126 for a box of 20 online. And 5-pack prices are about $33 a piece. Factor in your shipping, and it's more than I traditionally like to pay for a Robusto cigar. Definitely not something I would pick up often for the price at the local level. At your local cigar shop, these are probably going to run $8, $9, I would assume. Price point should be similar with the other Patriarchs, and I think they're $8 to $9. I would expect no less from this. Because of the price point, I wouldn't buy it as frequently. Now, because I got these cigars from Ace, and I know his buying habits from reading the stuff that he posts on the fan forums, he's probably not buying these at retail cost. He's probably getting these online, you know, laying back, taking it easy, buying them from Cigar Bid for probably $4 or $5 a piece, and he's getting them for a steal if that's the case. If I could do the same thing, I would smoke these things every day. I just really enjoy the flavor profile. I think they go awesome with coffee. I can smoke them, you know, middle of the afternoon, in the evening. It doesn't really matter. Flavors aren't too overpowering for me earlier in the day, and there's just enough to keep me interested in the evening. But again, you know, if I could get these things for $4 or $5, it's a win. You know, once you get up in the $8, $9 range, I'm probably going to pick up the Perdomo Habanos more frequently because they cost less. Although I definitely enjoy this cigar more than the Habano line. They're both good, but I think this is the clear winner between the Habano Maduro and the Patriarch Maduro. This is the one to get. So that about does it for the review of the Perdomo Patriarch Maduro. So until next week, happy smoking.